Why is Apex still so popular even after 4 years? Now I just want to say these are my opinions, so it's subject to change depending on how the further seasons come, and even then, who knows, they could stay the same. But you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Now you might ask though, what makes my reviews so special compared to others? And the answer to that is really nothing. I don't think I can speak for everyone, and heck, I can barely speak for myself. I basically played about a few seasons since the start of the game released, and that was back on console. I'm on PC, and I've been on the PC for about a year now, so it's entirely different in terms of input and even just playing the game. Console really never was a smooth experience, but still, it was fun once I played it. Albeit the fact is I had to play with less than 60 frames even though it's a console, so that's already a downside. But hey, I mean, in one way the game's accessible for console players since it's a half realism and half animated, but at the same time it's still not picking up that crispy 60 FPS. Now it could be that I'm just over exaggerating for no apparent reason and that my console was just trash, but it's still a comparison at the end of the day, so I'm just going to go off what I feel is really the good and bad points about Apex in a nutshell. Of course there's a bunch of different points that can be made: gameplay, sound, music, art, architecture. There's lists upon lists upon lists of points that can be made, but of course the game just comes down to the idea about a battle royale using movement as the main mechanic. Following that, I want to talk about the first point, which is really about the fact that Apex Legends wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for the movement inside this game. It's uncanny how much the movement makes Apex what it is. I truly think if there was no movement, then this game would be just another battle royale that wouldn't see its popularity that it did. Other games just use a simple sprint and jump, but Apex uses a plethora of different movement techniques such as bunny hopping, gap strafing, wall jumping. Compared to the original release back in 2019, the game has come a long way when it comes to fixing all the bugs and balancing out all the weapons and characters as well. Since I'm sure there were a ton, especially when a new character like Octane came out back in Season 1. Now you could argue that they've had plenty of time to fix all these bugs and errors, but every new season does come with its own set of bugs and problems that they need to fix. Additionally, that they have to fix the bugs that they've had since way back for seasons and seasons. Of course, just because there's positives doesn't mean there's no disadvantages as well, since they have characters that are just purely aggressive and just are used by every single player known to mankind. I'm not sure if I can go in a lobby without seeing at least 20 different Wraith or Octane mains. Now they could just simply rework their other characters to be able to be better suited to fighting against them, or they could create entirely new characters that whole kit is entirely purposeful for fighting against players that use Octane or Pathfinder or Wraith. These all W key characters. Of course that would mean they would need to be rigorously tested just to make sure that they are balanced enough for the game, but that's the point where they're still able to fight against Wraith and all the others equally. But it can't become a situation where they're the main character and then they get picked 20-30 times. That would just be completely ignorant to the entire reason we're making a new character in the first place. The other problem is the game really hasn't had any new weapons for the past year plus. We've only just got the Nemesis like this February. Without any new weapons means we're just constantly being forced to use the same old weapons, which does mean that we will master them eventually, or at least get close to being able to use them perfectly. But at the same time it'll become very boring just playing with Wingman or Peacekeeper. It'll really just become a repetitive cycle, and that will probably lower the player count, although not significantly since a lot of people are still devoted to playing this game. Speaking of player count, recently it's been really high for Apex. I'm not sure if it's just because of season 17 just up ahead within a couple of weeks from now or anything else, but it really picked up the pace since in Steam the Apex most amount of players currently was 660,000 or something about that much. I'll put it up on screen, but right now it's sitting at 600,000 per month. And I think that's really good since Apex isn't really experience you can just emulate to other battle royales. It's really unique in that way that it's just very difficult to grasp, but at the same time really rewarding. And just looking at the analytics, you can see that Apex clearly is doing much better than every other game, even though it gets beaten by PUBG in all-time peak. But that's still not accounting for the fact that Apex still has way more concurrent players as of right now. This is only Steam though, so that's subject to change depending on the platform, since other games like Apex could also be in Origins. Well, that's about it, and peace.